we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can also like, share, subscribe, follow everyone involved, including Lakerholics.com, the Run the Floor podcast, and the Lakers Fast Break, along with my shows, the Pop Culture Cosmos and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. It is truly appreciated. We are the champions, my friend, and we'll keep on fighting to the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. Oh, that feels good. Thank you for listening to us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here. But I've got a great cast and crew because the Lakers just won the 2020 NBA World Championship. I feel so psyched. I'm so happy. I'm glad I couldn't come on a few minutes ago because I was not composed, as if I'm not composed now, but I was actually just had to go ahead and get enough strength and everything that's going on because it's been such an emotional ride, and I felt it in those last couple minutes. You felt this entire weight of 12 months and such a roller coaster ride for this entire organization and the fans that follow it over the past 12 months. And here today to break down the Lakers winning the 2020 NBA World Championship with me, our awesome cohorts in crime indeed. First off, I'm going to go ahead, and he has been just an awesome fellow host for everything that's going on with the NBA Draft Junkies. And first off, I want to give a big hand to him. He's been a great fellow host, great co-host, just throughout the entire playoff run. He's been with me at my side. He's been just a true pleasure, and it's just his deep insight. There is no better out there. You know what? If he went to GM school, he would break GM school because he's that good. It is Rafael Barlowe. And Rafael, thanks for coming on the program. I'm just going to say this right now. That second quarter for the Los Angeles Lakers is one of the most dominant final quarters I've ever seen in my life.
Was it more dominant than the second quarter of game one?
That's what I want to ask. That's the question I had in my mind as I sat down on this chair right here. Is it better than the game one on? I'm going to say yes, because you know what? Miami wasn't sure in game one where things were going to go. They had a little bit of confidence. Momentum was sort of swinging on their side, swinging in their way. They were in the game at the end of the first quarter, only down by 8. And then you could see by the end of that half, when it hit halftime, it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, game 6 looked like game 1 to me. They were very similar. Unfortunately, those are both of the games that Dragic played in. So I don't want to blame him for that. But yeah, I mean, that was a dominant quarter. I mean, at one point it seemed like the Lakers had 7 guys on the floor. Like Miami couldn't get a clean look. All their shots were contested. I mean, the rotations were there. I mean, it was a very, very dominant quarter, like you said. But at one point, like I said, it really looked like the Lakers had 7 defenders on the floor because Miami couldn't get a clean look or a break. And just the Lakers came out. I mean, they were motivated. And then also, I just think Miami ran out of gas. I think Butler just did not have anything left in the tank. While it's like, you remember I mentioned last game, a friend of mine that played in the NBA said last season was the first time he's seen LeBron breathing hard in a game. Well, LeBron looked like he had so much energy today that he could have played 48 minutes if the series was a 14-game series. Like, that was the difference to me between LeBron and Jimmy Butler. Like, you can make a case and say maybe Butler had outplayed LeBron and up until this point, or it was even. But when it came down to energy today, it was a totally, totally different it was just totally different as far as like their energy levels and
did that surprise you?
No, I mean LeBron, like, I felt like Butler was carrying a big weight, but it's just hard to see LeBron looking exhausted or not looking fresh. I mean, he always looks like he's can play another game right afterwards. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, also here today to give us their insight as far as what's going on, as far as the Lakers and how they won the 2020 NBA championship. He's one of the blog editors from Lakerholics.com. You got to follow what he's doing today under the guise of Magic Man. It is Sean Grice. And Sean, you got to be a happy man.
Dude, I am stoked. It is a 10 out of 10 on the stoked level. I can't believe this. Like, I've been waiting 10 years for this, Gerald. It's been 10 long years. 10 long years.
I got my party hat on.
And to finally win it and to finally tie them. We tied them. There's no...
not according to Bill Simmons.
Yeah. All right, Bill. So you don't want to count this one, right? So
I'll count it, and I'll say we're tied with them. So sorry, Bill Simmons.
Why don't we forget the 8 wins that Tommy Heinsohn and Bob Cousy had when they were smoking Luckies in the locker room?
With 6 teams.
When there were only 8 teams. How about we forget those?
Exactly. But that's deep insight. And we'll get into your specifics on what really clicked for the Lakers today. Because, again, I'm going to say right now, it's one of the most dominant second quarters, finals of any quarter, just ever. And he sleeps in Carmine. I just saw your messages, Jamie. That's too funny. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and hit it to you right now. It is Jamie Sweet, also one of the blog editors. And I know he's going to have 5 awesome things for his next article coming up in Lakerholics.com. And Jamie, you and I, old men, stroking our beards. There you go. We're not as old as LakerTom, but we've been Laker fans from the beginning. And I'll tell you what, for me, it's been an awesome experience, an awesome ride, and I will describe that coming up in an upcoming article for Lakerholics.com because I'm going to do that for you guys. But tell me your thoughts right now as a Lakers fan.
I mean, I am beyond elated. Like Magic Man said, long time coming. It's funny that Laker fans say that because there's so many other teams there's a few other teams who have yet to make it to the NBA Finals. There's a lot of teams who haven't won the NBA Finals, and Laker fans certainly experience a level of entitlement that most other sporting fans don't. They just don't. I'm just feel happy. It's a lot of monkeys off of a lot of people's shoulders. It's Genie's first champion as running the franchise. It's Vogel's first championship as a head coach. Anthony Davis's first championship. Kuz is the last of the future young Lakers, the only surviving future, the last of the Mohicans, as I like to call them. All of those things are and it's weird how you can see some players like really take winning a championship. And this is something I'm curious about for next year. And I don't want to get into next year yet. I do have 72,000 trade proposals that I can't wait to put on my 5 things tomorrow morning.
That's just 5 less than what LakerTom will be doing.
I have 0 trade proposals in the cannon. Absolutely none. But it's just one of those things where, you have to tip your cap to so many people. The NBA for making this happen, for putting this bubble together, which has proven to be incredibly successful. All the teams that didn't play for sacrificing what was left of their season and saying, all right, we'll take a mulligan on a third of our season and not develop our players and not develop our mojo. So
because that second bubble never materialized.
It never materialized, which I don't know why. I never really heard anything about that, except for that it just kind of
went quiet.
Died on the vine.
It was money. I have to assume it was money, and they just didn't want to say, which is fine. That's fine. They did give them the permission to do like extended training camps or some sort of weird thing that we'll see how that bears out. But I'm beyond excited. I do have to apologize. I do have to leave the podcast early. I've got future Laker fan, my 2-year-old daughter to put to bed and stuff. So I am going to handle that. So
Let her
Gerald,
stay up tonight and celebrate. She's a future Laker fan.
She'll just want to watch My Little Pony. She's not quite. She doesn't know she's like me running around the Forum in 1975, going up to Chick Hearn and with popcorn in my mouth or whatever. My mom has all these stories of me as a young child running around the Forum.
I was born a block and a half away, from Los Angeles Forum. So
we probably ran into each other in the popcorn line.
There you go.
Forum stories are the best. I hope Steve Ballmer isn't a dick and doesn't tear it down.
Well, he said he wasn't. He said he was going to build around it.
We'll see. That's my hope too. It's a great concert venue now. I don't know if anybody's ever seen
this. Yes, agreed.
Anyway, Gerald, I want to thank you for everything you've done with the podcast and the website. Rafael, I want to thank you for your incredible contributions all playoffs long. It's been great listening to you guys and hearing you guys break down games and providing a lot of things to think about and some really great viewpoints.
Appreciate your support and your great articles on there as well.
No problem, man. And if you ever need me to pop on anything, if I can do it, I'm happy to do it. And Magic Man, LT, you guys are the best. Tom, I can't thank you enough for keeping the site going and keeping the spirit of the old Lakerholics or the LA Times Laker blog alive. It's much appreciated. It's the best Laker blog that ever existed. So I don't care what anybody else says. So you guys enjoy the night. Go Lakers, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you being on the show. Awesome, man. You've been awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
So I always got to give him the last word when it comes to our opening segment, and that is my good friend indeed. I met him. When I reached out to all these different Laker sites, he's one of the first that responded. And when I met him, I was just so thankful that I did because he's a little shy, believe it or not, on his first podcast. Wasn't sure exactly how to approach it, but he was eager to learn. And I remember his famous comment to me was after listening to a couple of his podcasts that he was on, said, Gerald, maybe I should talk a little less because I think I talk too much. You know what? I said, just be you. Just be you and do the things that you do. And you know what? It'll work out just fine. And over the course of the next 12 months, it certainly has. He's a good man indeed. You got to check out everything that he does and is a part of at LakerHolics.com. He is the mastermind indeed. It is my good friend, Mr. LakerTom. And LakerTom, for you, this has to be very satisfying indeed.
I've been a Laker fan since 1971 when they traded for Wilt Chamberlain. And these last 10 years, I've still had glass half full all the time. So it's really great finally to have the glass fill up all the way and overflow. I think just like the guys were saying, there's so many people that you just really have to praise for this championship. Starts with Jeannie Buss. Everything starts from the owner, and the decisions that she made after the Magic Johnson resignation really set the parameters for winning this championship. I mean, that wasn't even a year ago today that we were basically on the ropes. The media was just destroying the Lakers. Everybody was saying they were a totally dysfunctional front office. We hired Frank Vogel, or she kept Rob.
He was the fourth choice, Frank Vogel.
Well, let me first give Rob Pelinka his credit.
Yes,
she had faith in Rob Pelinka, and I'm sure a big portion of that faith came from Kobe Bean Bryant. And she stuck by that because she believed in Kobe and she believed in Rob. And the job that Rob did is just fabulous. I mean, to think that he got, I think it was 7th place votes for Executive of the Year. And then you go to Frank Vogel, who, like you said, was the third option. And
fourth.
Thank God he was the fourth, third, it doesn't matter. Thank God he was in the Lakers. I mean, the job that he's done this year, I mean, I was screaming at the TV when Mark Jackson was trying to minimize how great a job he had done, saying that you got LeBron James, it shouldn't be a problem, because that's almost a bigger challenge than anything else. Everybody forgets that everybody said LeBron just came west in order to watch his son play basketball and work on his retirement. And then you go to the players themselves. actually the assistant coaches. You know, you've got some great assistant coaches. The coaching staff, everybody was on the same page. And you got two superstars who basically were involved in everything, involved in the decisions of building the roster, involved in the coaching decisions, stepping up one after another. You know, I mean, AD wanting to guard Jimmy Butler. And then tonight, LeBron saying, I'm taking Jimmy Butler. You didn't see that on the Clippers. You didn't see that on the Bucks by their stars stepping up and taking on the main responsibilities. And then the players themselves, you know, two of the most maligned players all year long were Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Rajon Rondo. And those two guys came up really big tonight. It was just amazing to see. A rewarding game in many ways. Redemption, you know, that's all I keep thinking of when I think of this particular championship. Redemption for everybody from Jeannie Buss on down to Rajon Rondo. So it's, you know, you can't celebrate enough. I was thrilled that I said if all we have to do is hold them under 100 points, and to hold them to like 36 points in the first half, 16 in the second quarter. It was almost a shame that we had to have a whole half of garbage time, basically, because I looked at the stats at the end of the first half, and the Lakers were dominating. And the most beautiful cap of the entire evening is LeBron James getting that fourth Finals MVP. I didn't want to have AD get it.
It'd be his third.
Is that his third?
Dwayne
Who got one?
Dwayne got that first one?
Yeah.
Oh, they gave that to Dwayne? Okay, third then. At any rate, LeBron deserved it. I mean, way he attacked the basket in that first half was something else. I mean, he looked like the fastest player in the NBA at 35 years old.
It is 4? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's 4.
Yeah.
I thought so because they said it on the broadcast today.
Yeah, I thought that was 4 too.
Yep.
Thank you. But I mean, that was just the capper of everything, because, and I could see in the second half, late in the second half, they were feeding the ball to LeBron. The guys on the team wanted him to get that MVP. They felt he deserved it, and they all chipped in to help him.
Well, you got to remember as well, this was more of a team effort than everything, and in any game as far as within the series, because you got major contributions from, I'm on the playoff train. The playoff Rondo train. I'm on it, so I can say it. Playoff Rondo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and yes, Danny Green after receiving death threats. I mean,
yeah,
that's just way out of bounds. That's way out of bounds.
The treatment that Green and Kuzma got this playoffs that's a shame for Laker fans. Those aren't Laker fans as far as I'm concerned.
How about Alex Caruso trying out
Caruso
that little
starting.
motor?
Yeah, and that's what I want to ask you.
Starting AD at center in the final game by Frank. I mean, it's what I've been rooting for all year long.
Yes, he finally listened to you. Or was he saving it?
It opened up the game, and Caruso didn't score double digits, but he played a great game defensively.
Yes.
He blocked one of Bam's shots, caused several turnovers.
Stayed tight on the guards.
Assists.
He stayed tight on the guards.
Yep.
After first couple shots by Robinson that fell for him, he was virtually invisible in that second and third quarters. Rafael, I want to ask you this, and you got hit it right on the head, Magic Man, when you said, I think a key, and Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson both criticized Frank Vogel for starting Alex Caruso today. But quickly we learned that, Rafael, I think that was actually a brilliant move. It put AD at center like LakerTom had always been asking for, but it also let him play off of Bam, because you saw several times that Bam was just – they were so far apart that AD could go ahead and either move up on him or go ahead and protect the rim. And that was truly a turning point, especially in that second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Vogel made all the right adjustments. I mean, you look at the starting lineup from game 1 against Portland until the finals. He made every adjustment that he made worked. And so you got to give props to him for having the guts to make those type of adjustments, especially as successful as the Lakers were all throughout the season. I mean, there's been a lot of coaches that have been criticized for never making adjustments. And so Vogel wasn't afraid to bench his 2 best centers. Did Dwight play tonight?
At the very end.
He had a 3 in garbage time.
Yes, I saw that. JaVale didn't play the entire finals, I don't think.
Yeah, so, I mean, how many coaches would have the guts to bench their starting center for pretty much the entire finals? I don't know if JaVale played a minute or not. The finals, I don't remember him doing it. That was one of my questions with the Lakers. I wondered going into the playoffs, they had such a, on paper, deep roster of personalities and guys that are used to playing a certain amount of minutes. And how would Vogel manage those minutes? And he managed them perfectly. I mean, I think Waiters being hurt kind of helped. JR didn't play much, but he was fine. McGee was a great sport. Dwight was a great sport. I mean, it was just from top to bottom. Everything for the Lakers just went according to plan. And you got to tip your hat to, a guy like Dwight Howard, who I think is a future Hall of Famer, for accepting a contract that basically didn't guarantee him anything to start the season, accepting his role. And then, throughout the season, even when he played well in the playoffs, got a start and then was taken out the lineup again. You got to tip your hat to the Lakers from top to bottom. But I wonder, how does Magic Johnson really feel right now?
Terrible.
Because he's tweeting congratulations for everyone. He's doing that obligatory stuff that he does, and on the surface he says it feels good, but
he bailed out, and he's gonna feel bad about it
in the most unprofessional way.
I don't think so.
I think
because I think the big reason that Magic quit, I think, was because he didn't like the conflict. He didn't want to be involved in the conflict. But that was the primary reason that triggered the quitting at that point in time. But I think behind that was just an understanding that he really wasn't made to do that job, just like he wasn't made to be a coach. The businesses that he ran, the businesses that he was so successful for, those were businesses that are in some ways kind of like Donald Trump's success. It was the use of the name and the celebrity, and at least making money that way and lending his name to good organizations. But he wasn't the guy running those organizations. And that's the big difference when Pelinka took over, because Pelinka had been a big time sports agent, and he had a bunch of people underneath him that he was managing and dealing with. He understood how you build chemistry and how you build camaraderie in an organization. Whereas Magic, I think, was more of a token leader, a face of a business that was good for the community and good for his investors and so forth. So I think Magic is genuinely happy that the Lakers are successful. And you have to give him at least the credit for, I think, a big reason LeBron James came there was Magic Johnson. I mean, there were a lot of other reasons, but Magic was the guy who got him to sign on the dotted line. And so you can't take that away from him.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, that's true. I agree with that, but I think a lot of people oversimplified why Magic left. Magic left because Magic didn't want to take the blame if there was a scorched earth policy.
Yes.
That's why he left.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too, Sean. Good point.
Rafael?
I was going to say, with the thing about him being a token, I think he could have stayed in that role with the Lakers. He didn't have to really.
He got DEFCON 1 and he bailed.
Well, he wasn't in the office much. That was just pretty much how he ran his business.
That's another thing, though. I mean, when Jeannie hired him, she had to have known that would be the arrangement.
You could keep him in that slot where Jerry West does as an advisor.
But the problem is he had Trump's problem. He tweeted, and eventually that was going to pull him down.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the problems were oversimplified with Rob Pelinka too. I don't think Rob was this guy in the office going around seeing if people were in the office at 9 o'clock or not. I never got the sense that guy was ever that guy.
Right. He wasn't the backstabber that he was made out to be, nor the guy who didn't know about the salary cap. All of that stuff was overdone.
You make my work so much harder there, Tom.
Sorry, Thomas. You could blip that one out, Gerald.
Well, that's the problem. I have to go through 25 minutes of footage, so I can. Thanks a lot. Anyways, back to the Lakers game, Tom.
Yep.
Hey, well, I will say this. Let me ask you this. When you went in the second quarter, when you were watching it, I mean, that's the thing that Rafael, I think, is leaning towards game one. I'm leaning towards this one because I think that it really sucked the life out of the Heat because the Heat really thought they stood a chance of actually beating, because all the momentum as far as going into this game was on their shoulders. And it was really the more pressure was getting onto the Lakers. So I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think it was this quarter or the second quarter of the first game was that it was a much – which one was a more impactful?
This quarter was a killer because it's a closeout game. It's a bigger killer than the massacre, the Memorial Day massacre, because that wasn't a closeout.
No, but I meant game one of this series.
This was bigger than game one. Because you're absolutely right, Gerald. The Heat came in here thinking, hey, we can beat these guys. And they found out, no, the hell you can't. There's no way you're going to beat us.
Absolutely.
We're the better team. We're the better defensive team. You can't score against us, and you can't stop us from scoring.
But that's the thing now we're going to be hearing ad nauseum, if Goran was healthy, if Bam had been healthy the entire playoffs, entire finals.
We'd had Avery Bradley.
We had,
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, you can hear the clear. You're going to be hearing that. It's ad nauseum. I'm just going to put it where it is.
Sour grapes. Let them gripe all they want.
Well, Rafael,
it'll go away. Remember right after the Warriors won their first title, people say, "Oh, Kevin Love didn't play, Kyrie didn't play." But after a while, it just
becomes
Same thing with last year. Toronto,
2 or 3 more championships.
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, Toronto last year they won. Nobody starts saying, "Well, you know what? Kevin Durant didn't play." People are still rewarding Toronto as a championship. Yeah, I think people just kind of forgot about it.
This was a harder championship to win than any other championship out there. Even though they didn't have to play the Clippers and they didn't have to play the Bucks because of the bubble. This was much more difficult challenge.
Go ahead,
no
Sean.
home court advantage.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Gerald. If you look at the NBA Finals front court MVPs over, say, the last 25 years, you look at Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, and now we find Anthony Davis shot 55, 42, and 90. Not KD, not Dirk, ever shot a 50, 40, 90 in an NBA Finals. So you're talking about a guy who's potentially going to be even better next year. What does he have to offer if he can shoot? What was he, 27 for 30 from the free throw line in the finals, 90%?
That's awesome. He just did a great job. I mean, especially they needed him today, and he stepped up. He had been, I don't know how you could say you were soft or that he was playing at a bad level in the last game. He scored 28 points on a hurt foot. So I don't know how you can go ahead and criticize him. The previous 2 games, he was very soft. I agree with you there. But you know what? I will ask you this, Rafael. When it comes to his performance, I think he is the key factor as far as how the Lakers got it done, because you always have LeBron. LeBron is that foundation, and LeBron is there going to go ahead and pick and choose those times. But you could see the team really clicks when AD is doing it at both ends like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you got arguably the 2 best players in the world on the same team and they're clicking, all you need is your complementary guys to knock down open shots and defend. They make everything easier for everyone else. So, I mean, to me, LeBron deserved MVP. He is still the engine behind the Lakers. But, when AD is, even if AD is playing at 80% of AD, he's still a top 5 player in the world. And you just need your complementary guys like today. If the Lakers complementary guys are knocking down shots like they did today, I mean, nobody stands a chance. And so it was good for the Lakers that it happened when they needed it the most. This is Rafael from NBADraftJunkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
I see the potential for basically like another Netflix kind of paradigm shift where here comes this other major player. They have a ton of resources. Apple could change the way that entertainment is consumed.
They say it's the only time this year that you'll have stars from each brand battling each other, and we know it's not going to be the case, but they like to say that, and more power to them, I guess.
Well, it's a big first step, bringing all those superheroes together. There were definitely some parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, and then there were some parts that I thought just kind of fell short of expectation.
Part of it has to be something to do with how it's being promoted, and this is a thing where audiences do not agree with critics.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse, every week on Apple Podcasts.
And over a dozen of your favorite streaming and podcasting options. LakerTom, I want to ask you this. Where does this rank as far as the number of Lakers victories? Obviously, this is 17, with all apologies to Bill Simmons. Where does this rank? For me, this is the number one because of the things that they had to overcome from both a emotional and mental aspect, and obviously the physical aspect of going and keying yourself up and gearing yourself down, and keying yourself up and gearing yourself down, and keying yourself up once again with everything that went on in the bubble. The sheer mental will and drive you had to keep on going through each and every day. I mean, all these players have come out of the bubble say this is the hardest thing that they've ever had to deal with. And then again, like I said, through all the emotional ups and downs that the Lakers organization has had over the past 12 months, I think this is number one for me. I'd like to hear your thoughts as also a great Lakers fan, like you said, since the 70s. Where does this rank for you?
I think it's the greatest championship that we've ever won for a lot of reasons. First off, I think, like you said, this has been an unprecedented challenge to play into the bubble with the break of the season, the death of Kobe, all of the various things that had happened. And you saw that two very talented teams, the Bucks and the Clippers, just couldn't handle it. The loss of home court advantage, the loss of fans. We'll never see a playoff, a championship that's more difficult and more arduous to win than this particular championship. And then you add to that the fact that it's the first championship for the Lakers in 10 years. And as I've said many times, it's the championship that catapults LeBron into the conversation for the GOAT. It's the championship that catapults AD as the next great player on the planet. And it's the championship that catapults the Lakers past, I forget you, Bill Simmons, past the Boston Celtics as the greatest franchise in NBA history. And
we need to win one more.
Finally, the championship that is going to launch the next Lakers dynasty.
Well, let's hope that that's the case. Well, with all apologies to Rafael, of course. Go ahead, Sean.
Yes, Gerald, I'd like to remind Bill Simmons of something. He could have had Anthony Davis on the Celtics if Danny Ainge had a pair. But he decided he was going to keep the kids and roll the dice and see what happens. Because I guess Clutch told him, about that long-term extension if he gets traded.
Well, it wasn't just, it was AD's dad.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even if you're the Celtics, why wouldn't you take a gamble on 1 year? You did it with Kyrie. Why wouldn't you do it with AD? So
because they did it with Kyrie.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's such great success with Kyrie.
Exactly.
Won a championship.
I guess Danny learned his lesson.
They didn't. Sorry. I thought they did.
I just thought I'd throw that out there, Bill.
There you go. Well, Rafael, I want to go ahead again and just tell you it's been great having you, Sean, and LakerTom aboard, and also give a big shout out to Jamie Sweet. But I know you've been enduring this almost 35 minutes of Laker gleaming and glory here as we again just celebrate this victory. But as my fellow man in crime for the past seemingly 90,000 days of the playoffs, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you. for your awesome site and experience, NBA Draft Junkies, which will continue to come on the show. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to keep on getting lowdowns on the NBA draft from you. You obviously bring great insight. I want to go ahead and hear the Christian Nyanga stories and the whole 9 yards, but NBADraftJunkies.com, NBA Draft Junkies, and Run the Floor podcast. But your bread and butter is the YouTube channel, and you do some awesome things there. So what's going to go on down this week and in the near future for NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube?
Well, before I get into that, I just saw a hilarious tweet. It says, drafted by the Cavs, he was destined for greatness. He had success in Miami, but wasn't satisfied. He joined the Lakers with one goal in mind. Now Deion Waiters is a champion.
That
was
Deion
great.
would have got a ring either way, though.
Yeah.
And Boogie, too.
Yeah, so that was hilarious by
Oh, man,
CBS. That was an awesome tweet. Yeah, as far as my channel, now it's officially NBA draft time. And so
How
I think
far
more
are we
people-
away?
Oh man, I used to know it by heart. The draft is November 18th, so probably maybe like
38 days?
38, 40 days,
37.
somewhere around there. So yeah, so I'll definitely be kicking up a notch. I think this week I'll finish like my European prospects, and then I'll go on to finishing out the rest of the American prospects for the NBA draft. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show. When do we recorded that Friday, and it's doing pretty well. It's up to like 1,600 views on YouTube, and the podcast is.
And I meant to say James Wiseman. James Wiseman, for goodness sakes. James Wiseman. I'm sorry that I said Jonathan Wiseman. James Wiseman. My gosh, those people that are on you that watch you, thank you for watching it. But my gosh, they are really quick to point that out. Go ahead.
Somebody even emailed me. so
I said I watched it, Gerald. It was a great podcast.
James Wiseman. James Wiseman. I even said on the comments, James Wiseman. My gosh.
Yeah, but thank you for coming on. I really appreciate that. Like I said, it's doing well.
I think I need to come back on your show just so I can have 10 minutes of me saying James Wiseman, James Wiseman, James Wiseman.
That could work. But yeah, out of my last 10 videos, it's ranked number 1 as far as views. It even has 200 more views than the RJ Hampton workout video. So that's pretty good. So once again, thank you for coming on. And then, like I said, I'll be doing, just keeping up with the draft videos. I guess I can announce it tomorrow. So it will be Monday, but my NBA Draft Junkies, I can't call it a podcast due to my contract, but the NBA Draft Junkies show will now be on Dash Radio. So once a week, every Monday at 10 a.m. Central, I'll have it's just the NBA Draft Junkie show. It'll be on Dash Radio. Dash Radio is, it's in a lot of the cars. It's in like Subaru, Ford, Maserati, and a lot of the smart speakers. And then, so that will be on. I'm looking forward to that. And then the same content will still be on the YouTube channel. So they'll get the exclusive rights for that particular show. So, but once a week, and then we could even expand to more. So I'm looking forward to that.
I wish you tremendous success. Dash Radio is a great get, my friend, and I'm just so happy for it. And again, please, everyone tune into me saying Jonathan Wiseman when I meant to say James Wiseman on the video that's now up and available, along with all the other great videos that are out today at NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube, plus this Run the Floor podcast and NBA Draft Junkies podcast as well. Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man, you're going to have some great stuff on the way for LakerHolics.com. So please, I know you're going to be writing with jubilant fever, whatever you want to say. You're just going to be writing with so much jubilance when you're going ahead and typing up some articles today at LakerHolics.com. So what do you have planned for us at LakerHolics.com?
Absolutely, Gerald. To quote Kobe, I'm buoyant about this championship. And I have a few articles going through a historical perspective. It's 10 years gone, and we're celebrating our 17th. Everything's happening fast and furious now. We got free agency coming up along with the draft. So I'm going to have an article about what front court players we can target in free agency. Key point, I think I have a small prediction to make in free agency. I believe Aaron Baines will stay in the Pacific Division. I'm just not sure which team will sign him. I think it'll be between the Lakers, Clippers, and Warriors. Whoever gets him adds a potent piece to their front court, and let's see what the future holds.
Let's see what the future holds indeed. But you can find Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man, today and every day at Lakerholics.com. And last but certainly not least is the man indeed who's got probably now an extra 15,000 articles on top of the 15,000 articles he already has in the chamber, as Rafael has. Basically, I give him credit for saying that because it's the same every day, and every day it's the same. What's going on at Lakerholics.com? Again, another Rafael saying. He's got to put that on a T-shirt.
Well, I already had the article written for Game 5, but I'll have to go in there and change the numbers from 5 to 6. So that'll give me some time to work on my Damian Lillard trades and other things just to make the Lakers even more dominating team. I do think that one of the things that's interesting about the Lakers championship this year is what impact that will have on free agents and people signing for the MLE and on trades. Danny Green had an okay game, didn't do a whole lot to improve his trade status. Kuz had a so-so game, didn't do a whole lot to improve the value of his trading chip.
Neither did JaVale McGee, probably in your eyes as well. Just a stretch.
JaVale stock didn't drop, though.
Yeah, that's true.
The interesting thing is that this game was against a traditional center who doesn't shoot 3-point shots, and an all-star and an all-pro defender in Bam Adebayo, and yet the Lakers opted to go small. Their version of small is a little bit bigger than most other people's version of small, but they opted to go with AD at center. And now I think what's interesting is that neither one of the traditional back to the basket centers, defensive centers on the Lakers played in this game. Will that really mean that Frank Vogel changes his whole attitude toward how you win? Because he's always been a protect the rim first, but there are different ways of protecting the rim. And the formula that we saw today with the ability guarding, non 3-point shooters for AD to use his great range and length to shut off the basket was just really impressive. And if you bring in somebody else, it makes me question, for example, whether Boogie is the right mix. Boogie will be the center. I think the Lakers will pursue him, but he's not a guy who can chase out on the exterior, and you put him in, you may have some of the same problems that we've had before on defense. He'll help on offense because he can sure stretch the floor. But I'm wondering whether or not they'll really make an effort to go out and bring in a defensive center who's athletic enough to actually defend on the perimeter, to have 5 guys who can guard all positions and can guard out to the 3-point line. Sean had an excellent article, and you look at different guys out there. We both like Christian Wood a lot. I love Miles Turner. Those are 2 guys who can block shots and shoot the 3. And
you didn't like Christian Wood back in January when I proposed the trade.
I'll tell you, that was one of the first times, because he's a Vegas guy. It's one of the first times that I really paid attention to Christian Wood when you made that proposal. Part of a Derrick Rose trade that Gerald had proposed.
Yeah,
so
the Lakers should listen to Gerald.
Yeah, so so I think there's a lot of interesting things, but this puts the Lakers in the driving seat for free agency.
I'm going to graduate out of GM school right after Rafael. He's going to be valedictorian, and I'll be the guy next to him going, you know what? I wish I had his smarts. There you go.
Well, let me end this broadcast with my appreciation and thanks for the terrific job that you've done as the host extraordinaire of Lakers Fast Break podcasts. There's no doubt that, every team needs a director. Every team needs a LeBron. and you're our LeBron James, Gerald. So
Thank you.
Congratulations for that, and
If
my
only I
thanks
was
to you
paid
for
like
it.
him.
And then Rafael, I know I've been brutal at times on the clip or on the Blazers, but you've always taken the jobs in good sportsmanship, and I really respect your knowledge and your insight, and I hope that you'll continue to be part of the team. I'm also looking forward to you contributing to the series of articles we're going to do on how this crazy 2020 NBA year really affected us as fans and NBA aficionados. So I'm looking forward for your contribution on that. Sean and Jamie both have done a terrific job on the blog, keeping things going, making sure that we don't miss any good news, putting comments to drive conversations, and always making sure that we have a respectful and informed blog that really attracts people to come back. I got some new numbers from GoDaddy on the amount of traffic that we've been generating, and it's been startling. We've had really some very, very large numbers on it, and so things are looking real good on it. We're hoping to have some great off-season activities there, and I thank you a lot, Gerald, because I think the Lakers Fast Break being part of the integral teamwork that we've put together. I'm looking forward to Rafael putting together a series of posts, podcast videos, if you will, for that he'll also put on NBA Draft Junkies, but also focusing on, maybe a half a dozen shots of what the Lakers' opportunities are in the draft and what players might really fit in and could be contributors. I mean, I think we saw from the Miami Heat how young players can really contribute at a high level in the biggest of arenas, on the biggest stage. So there's definitely, I wouldn't mind if we could find a Tyler Hero or a Duncan Robinson or a Kendrick Nunn of our own to put in there and add to some of the firepower we have. And maybe even taking a look at THT and some of the young players that we have and seeing if any of them fit up to be players that might be on the move for the Lakers. So I think it's been a great collaboration between all of us. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm presuming we're going back to our once a week or maybe twice a week.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to ease up a little bit on it. But yeah, I will be still producing, obviously, something at least once a week for the Lakers Fast Break. In fact, right now, with the way that everybody is, so jubilant as far as Laker fans is concerned, I might do a couple extra shows just because there's so many people that want to express their love for the Lakers right now. But yes, obviously, I also have to focus in on the NBA draft and NBA coverage out there as well.
Yep.
Rafael Barlowe, I'm going to have on again many times more before the NBA draft. Looking forward to also getting all the NBA draft experts in. So yeah, you can expect some other
Great.
stuff. Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, Gerald. I just got a text from one of my EMS buddies, and he says that it's been 484 days since the Raptors have defended their championship. Well, now it's coming home, where it rightfully belongs.
Or rightfully it belongs.
Figueroa Drive.
There you go, Figueroa Drive. Which unfortunately,
I'm looking for some new pictures for the banners on the blog with 17 trophies across there instead of 16.
well, you're going to have to go ahead and get started on that. I will just say this. I mean, I could not have done this without all the great guests that have appeared on the show. Without Rafael's help, I could not have done it for the NBA playoffs. Without Sean, without you, Tom, and without Jamie Sweet providing your input over the past month, I am just so thankful and blessed to have each and every one of you by my side during this coverage. It's been a fantastic run. When I set out this, Tom, and to start going ahead and create a podcast for specifically that was Lakers and basketball centric, I wanted to go ahead and produce the best Lakers podcast that was out there because I heard some podcasts over the past few months. There's really one or two that were good, and there's really a whole bunch that are bad, and a lot of them are garbage. And I'll tell you what, that's just saying it how like it is. Somebody who's produced podcasts since 2009, I just wanted to go ahead and put my imprint on it, and I think I did. And I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you guys, where I think we're now one of the top Lakers podcasts out there. So going forward, If you want to hear more basketball news, basketball information, stuff on the draft, NBA, and of course, everything Los Angeles Lakers, I hope you'll continue to tune into us each and every episode right here at the Lakers Fast Break. We are the champions, my friend. All right, I don't want to make Rafael throw up here on camera, so I will go ahead and say to you, thank you so much for watching. To the thousands of people out there out on the internet that might have caught us, or to the dozens and dozens of groups, of sports groups, Lakers fans groups, and Facebook podcast groups that are out there that I shared this to all the listeners listening to us out there on the RTF Sports Network, the Discovery Community Network, basically all the podcast outlets that are out there that we're on. I just cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen to all of our great shows. And on behalf of Jamie Sweet, Sean Grice, Rafael Barlowe, and LakerTom, we truly thank you for being part of the Lakers Fast Break.